Angela would have to take me with her, and she would cut out of school or be smoking in the schoolyard, and then I would go home. Of course, I was 6 years younger than her, and I would tell my mother, Angela's smoking.
And listen, not everybody's going to agree with my decision. I can give a fuck less. You're in that position, it's you who got to face it, then you do what you need to do.
Little Changolini, he gets to the jail and
steal cars from Maryland and take them to Delaware to a chop shop.
The inside prison in Thailand, as well as what Victor Malarek, the reporter, did to get me out of there.
And I sat down and thought about it for the longest time. Okay, but once I made up my mind, it was about survival. I need to take care of my kids and take care of my family. And when a guy's not being loyal to you, how could you be loyal to him?
Welcome to Chattin with Staxx. Welcome to another episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I'm going to go over Sammy the Bull's episode, The Last Gangster. So what's good with everybody? What's up, Elijah? How you doing, man? Liz, how you doing? Richard, how you doing? Bella, Stormy, how you doing? I appreciate you. Stone Sailor, what's up, man? What's good, Gianni? How you doing, man? How you guys doing tonight? I appreciate everyone who's coming in and checking me out. So, have you guys seen this episode yet? What's good, JDC? How you doing, man? J Soul. Go check out this dude's channel, Real Mob Radio Network. So I want to give a shout out to Tony Welch, Joey Catalano, Ciro, Dave Icavetti, and everybody at Mob King and everybody that's involved with that whole movement. What's up? Big Blue, how you been, man? Liquid handcuffs. I used to have those, man. Haven't had those in a while. What's up, man? Plainville CT in the house. So let's get into this series that Sammy did. I want to give a shout out to Larry Mazza. I've seen him on the series. I want to give a shout out to John Gotti Jr., Anthony Ruggiero, and of course, Michael Francis. They did a great job in this, the way it was filmed, the way it was put together. It was done pretty good. Now let's get into the first part.
New York in the 80s and 90s was a very, very interesting place. As you know, New York was full of great New York characters then. People that would make the headlines day after day. I didn't think that somebody
Make sure you
like
guys
Trump
hit the like
would turn out
button.
to be the president of the United States, nor did I think that John Gotti would rise to become such a prominent celebrity. But they did, because New York loves a character.
My father was one of 13 children from the Bronx, and then moved to East New York, Brooklyn, where he set up his roots. Dirt poor. My father and his siblings always had to fight their way.
Exclusive, man. Just aired.
He had nothing, and he strived for great things. He strived to be something more.
John, you either loved him or hated him. He was that kind of a lightning rod.
What I find most interesting about John Gotti as a character is that he is a pure gangster. He strikes me as the type of guy that there is nothing else he ever wanted to be. When he decided to become a gangster, he went all the way. It's almost as if like a kid wants to grow up to be president.
Of course, there were fireworks in Ozone Park tonight. Lots of them in the air and on the ground.
In Ozone Park, which was in Queens, right over the Brooklyn-Queens border where John Gotti lived, he was a hero.
On top of the roofs, they had crates of firecrackers, cherry bombs, M80s, and they put on a celebration that almost
Thank you,
seemed
bro.
like Macy's. And everybody thought, oh, what a great guy.
Your Thanks John hat on. Thanks John.
Hey, yo, Mob Muscle, get your ass in the bathroom, you piece of shit.
You know anything about John Gotti?
No, if I did, I wouldn't say anyone. I think he developed this rep as a Robin Hood and a glamorous Robin Hood. He wasn't living in the forest. He was wearing, $1,000 suits and getting his hair blown out every day.
And the media fed the beast.
They love John Gotti. A lot of people did.
He was a
I don't know,
stone-cold
man.
killer. And he attracted men who themselves had a lust for blood. This guy
Tell you
had
later.
whacked because you showed up late for a meeting at the Bergen Hunt, Fish, and Shoot Human Beings Club.
Do you remember the first time you met John Gotti?
I was in an after-hour club,
It's good,
which had
Joe.
gambling and stuff. He seemed smart. He seemed nervy. He's a tough guy in the street. Yeah, he impressed me a little bit.
He knew how to take a punch. He knew how to give a punch. He wasn't afraid of the cops. He wasn't afraid of anybody.
He was a mobster's mobster. There was no other career that John Gotti was going to pursue. And the same could be said for Sammy.
I think that they were both very dangerous men. I think they were both very tough men.
Sammy's got a strong reputation, known to be reliable to get things done.
He was a professional killer, and he caught the eye of John Gotti right around the same time Gotti was rising up and assassinated Paul Castellano, who had been the boss of the Gambino family.
Shout out to Cuzzo.
Paul Castellano wasn't a gangster. He was a racketeer. Brilliant man. He used to sit in that house in Staten Island, reading the Wall Street Journal and the Times.
John Gotti, Sammy, they were street guys. So they were a different breed than him. He wasn't a gangster.
Gotti didn't like the way the family was being run by Castellano. And he also thought, if you kill the boss, you could take over the family.
Hey, Liz.
And then you could be the boss.
When Paul got hit, it was such a shock to people that are in the inner circle. Taboo. A boss was just gunned down in the middle of the street.
Still out to talk about
For
it.
me, it was the first time I realized how dangerous my father's life was outside the home.
There's an organization within the mob that manages all of the mob families in the country, and it's known as the Commission. And the 5 bosses of the New York families sit on the commission.
So you'd need the approval of all 5, bosses would have to agree on something like that.
So they say, we go to the commission, they all sit down and take a vote.
Yeah, I saw him leaving them
And then even if they
comments.
say no
He
to
thought
me,
I wouldn't
I
remember,
put my tail
man.
between
I
my
remember it
legs,
all, bro.
And I accept it because it's the Don's such nonsense.
Gotti sent his right-hand man, Angelo.
Let me just say this. If there's somebody on someone else's show and they're in that person's show in the chat room and they're talking disrespectful about me and saying this and that, I'm not going to allow that person to be in here knowingly that they're in there spreading hate about me. And I'm not just going to sit here and be naive and be like, yeah, hey, what's up, man? Like nothing. No, I'm not that type of person. Like, it's not about hate over here. Like, I'm not trying to be a tough guy. I'm trying to help people and show people what I've been through. And maybe I could help the next person. But anyway, let's get back to the program.
He says, Sammy, we're going to take out Paul. We sent word to John that we were not only going to permit it to happen, but we were going to join it. We were taking Paul down.
So John Gotti, he didn't have permission to do that, but he did it anyway because he knew the bottom line
Shout
was
out to
nobody
Anthony.
liked Paul.
So they form a crew together that's going to set up the meeting at Sparks.
The next day when we met, they were told, don't back off.
He's in the bathroom.
Don't run. Even if there's cops, kill them. And if
Good.
If it means
I hope he's mad now.
we'll die there with them. Do not back off his head.
There were 4 shooters that actually pulled the trigger. There were 3 more backup shooters out on the street.
I got this little map in front of me.
I don't care who show
Steakhouse
you
in
go
the
on,
hit.
man. I don't care who you watch.
I planned this hit. I'm going to tell you how it came down. Outside of Sparks Steakhouse, there's 2 shooters. They're ready. There's a shooter here, a shooter here, a shooter here, a shooter here. The hit guys were all dressed in like a white short trench coat, and black Russian hats.
It was December 16, 1985.
Thank you, Bella.
That's when everything changed in 1985.
Hey, Terry Blossom, how you doing?
Parked in the car right here, waiting for them to show up. His car pulls up right next to me. It was a Lincoln, and I turned around to my right. The dome light was on, the tinted windows, Paul was in there. I leaned down in my chair and I told John, I said, John, they were right next to us. I pulled out my gun and I told John, if he turns in our direction, I'm going to start shooting right here and now. They never turned. The light changed. They pulled in front of Sparks. They parked the car. As soon as Paul opened up the door, these two shooters take out Paul Castellano. Tony Bellotti gets out of the car. These two shooters converge on him. We pull next to them. I put the window down slightly. I looked at Tommy, who was stretched out with a huge pot of blood. I told John, he's gone.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, Southbound, man.
Back to my office. It was on the news.
After the shooting, the three gunmen ran that way towards 2nd Avenue and a waiting car.
Police say that Paul Castellano, the reputed head of the Gambino crime family, and another man were shot and killed.
John Gotti, he committed the cardinal sin. He killed the boss without a commission ruling.
That's like an earthquake in the world of the mob. Who did it? Why? Who authorized it? Was it not authorized? And then who will pay for it?
My mind was going over what happened, what was about to come. We knew when we did this, we were at war. We shook the Mafia. We shook the state of New York. We shook the whole world.
A lot of people are glad I'm playing this. So that's that episode. So I broke it down into a bunch of different parts. If you want to see part 2, put number 1 in the chat. If you don't want to see it, put a number 2 and I won't play it. But if you want to see the next episode, put a number 1 in the chat. If you don't want to see it, put a number 2 in the chat. And if you guys want to see it, I'll play it for you. Make sure you guys hit the like button or the dislike button, whatever you want to do. Everyone wants a number 1. Well, the show's over, man. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm joking. I got you. I'll play another one, man. I got you. So I broke it down in a bunch of different parts. I took the commercials and let's get into it.
Life was lived without a safety net.
Forgive the background noise. I did my best.
Wanted power, and they were willing to do anything necessary to achieve their ends. By birth, certainly, they were not prepared in any way to achieve their desires. They were not the smartest kids in the neighborhood. They weren't even the toughest. In fact, they lacked almost all the necessary talents that may have helped them satisfy the appetites of their dreams, except one: their talent for violence.
Well, my name is Anthony Ruggiano Jr. I'm the son of Anthony Fat Andy Ruggiano, who became a main member of the American Mafia in 1953. In the mob, they call murder work. My father used to tell me he did a piece of work. I knew he committed a homicide. So work was the key word. Work just meant murder.
And that's my father, Fat Andy. Put a drink in his hand. He always had a drink in his hand.
My father would give you the shirt off his back and then hit you on the head with an axe and go home and eat dinner.
1970, you're 24, 25 years old.
Yeah.
They tell you to kill someone. Did you think of saying no?
No. I knew sooner or later that question would come.
Joe Colucci was a friend of my father's. He was also my father's first murder.
What did you do in this case?
Now, you guys pay attention to this because this is where Sammy the Bull says he committed, this is his first murder, and he's saying how much he regrets it, and if he regrets it, and if he regrets the life he lived and all that. Pay close attention to what he says on certain things that they ask him, because on certain questions, he'll say, I regret it. Other things, he says, I don't regret it, like killing certain people. He's like, they were gangsters. They all had it coming. But he says this one really hurt him. So just pay attention to what he says and its inconsistencies in his stories. And yeah, I'll get to the Vegas thing in a little bit. After this episode's done, we'll get back to that.
Everything together. And on the way home, I got in the back of the car. I shot him in the head.
No, I'm streaming it. It's not on TV now.
It sounded like a cannon that went off. I felt the feeling of
Thank you.
everything going into like slow motion. And I hit him again. And then his body shook and slumped down a little bit. It was like there was nothing outside this car. There was no people. There was no road. Nothing but me and him. I took him to Far Rockaway, where we threw his body out of the car, and I shot him 3 more times in the back. I remember something that surprised me that I had no remorse at all.
It is horrible, and it is hideous, and there is hurt, and there is pain, because I feel it. But these men were gangsters, and each and every person that chose that world knew what they were getting into.
After that murder, they congratulated me on a job well done. And then at that point, I guess my life changed. I would go to the same club and got online. And before you know it, bouncers, the owners came out. Sammy, no, you don't have to wait online, so you just come right in, and everything started to change.
I could see that my father was very powerful because the way people respected him, the handshake, the kiss on the cheek.
Everybody knew who Sammy was, got to the front of the line, even in Manhattan, Studio 54.
Which the disco era, the Silver Ball, all of that. You go to the club, naturally, you drink, you do a few lines of cocaine in the bathroom, and now you're feeling like $1 million.
I used to go to the Copa, just like in Goodfellas in the movie. I used to go into the basement, up through the kitchen.
What do you do? What do you do?
I'm a construction officer. And they had the people in the bathroom lounge.
And then there was Mo Black's brother, Fat Andy.
And they were naming the names, and then they said Fat Andy, and all my friends at the same time said, that's your father. And I go, that was like my life. That was like my life now. You know, sitting in the front and how, everything was given to us, and the whole lifestyle.
Goodfellas was more real life. Especially talking about the effect that cocaine had. White power.
Everybody used to move pole. And then the money's pouring in, and you're hanging out with these people. David Bowie, my Uncle Junior starts telling David Bowie dirty jokes. He's hysterical laughing. I'm there till 4 in the morning. And that was my life. And you just think it's never going to end.
The Mafia, which was originally called Mafioso, was started in the Middle Ages as a secret society in Sicily, and it was to combat the foreign invaders.
The Sicilian Mafia, they believe that this is how you had to live Cosa Nostra.
Cosa Nostra is this thing of ours. The way it was explained to me was in Italy, communities protected their own. So it was like, this is ours, we protect.
When we take that oath, we are told straight out, Cosa Nostra comes before anything in your life. Anything.
They tell you, if your son is dying in bed with cancer, he's only got an hour left to live. If we call for you, you come immediately and leave his side.
You don't go with anybody's wife. Don't rat. That's the big one. Don't cooperate with the government.
There's also no drug dealing, because it held a stiff sentence that could possibly put you in a position to cooperate.
Many of them consider what they do almost military in nature. They consider themselves soldiers.
So they believe when your boss tells you you have to kill somebody, they feel they're doing the right thing.
that being the case, they get to rationalize a lot of really bad behavior. You wouldn't think of calling a soldier in war a murderer, so therefore, if they're a soldier and they're at war, they're not murderers either. They're doing this as part of their job.
My father said when I took my oath to Cosa Nostra, I gave up everything.
At the ceremony, there was 14 guys, and one by one, they called us down the basement. Dim lights, real smoky.
He didn't take that oath
when I
too
walked
serious
down-
because he broke the code. So he didn't take Omerta too seriously. I mean, yeah, he was killing people. He was doing this and that. But in the end, he broke the code. So the question that I need to be answered by everybody in the chat, is Sammy still a gangster? And if he is a gangster, do you respect Sammy as a gangster? I want to know you guys' opinion. So let me know. Is he still a gangster, and does he still get respect as a gangster? Or does he got to get in the damn bathroom, man?
There was Paul Castellano, and Paul asked me, do you know that we're a brotherhood, a secret society? He said, would you want to belong to this? I said, yes. He says, if we ask you to kill
They
for
say
us,
anything after butt is bullshit, right?
I said, yes. And he asked me, what finger would you pull the trigger? And I pointed to my index finger. There was a picture of a saint on the table. They pricked my finger.
Hit the bathroom, Sammy.
The blood on the saint. They put it in my hand and they lit it. He just said, if you betray this brotherhood, may your soul burn like the saint. I really believed in it with my heart and soul. And if you listen to the oath, there's honor, there's respect, there's integrity, there's loyalty, there's a brotherhood, there's a secret society. And
Not
these are
over
words
here,
that
though.
I wanted to hear. And that I was totally loyal to. But unfortunately, none of it is true.
Paul Castellano was, until 2 hours ago, the head of the largest organized crime family in the United States of America.
Sorry for the background noise, ladies and gentlemen. Now I got another episode. There's quite a few of these. There's about 7. It was 2 hours long. So there's about 7 of them. So who wants me to play another one? Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Cherry Blossom. Close this circle. Did break the code, unfortunately. That means he's out, man. That means you're not a gangster anymore, no matter how hard he tries. Yes, he's still a gangster. We got one for yes, he's still a gangster. But does he get respect? Nah, he's making money for his kids before he goes. He's still a good storyteller, though. Hey, I'll give him that. I'm not going to take that away, man. But there comes a time when, I mean, like, the way I'm looking at it is like, so a gang member, right, snitches on his gang. You think the gang member can come back and just live a normal, per se, life and just ease back into society? Or are they going to be a snitch for the rest of their life and no good? Thank you so much for that, Allie. I appreciate that. My opinion is he's a snitch and he's no more. He has a rat card. That means he doesn't get the respect that he had at one point. But the way I'm looking at it is he's looking at it as if he still gets that kind of respect from people. And I think he's misinterpreting the you know, the stardom aspect of it, when people look at him like they're starstruck by him, like he's a star, and they don't think about him telling. It just finished. Did you hear the beep? So I'll play another one. I just finished another one, so let me just pull it up. This is number 3. And if there's background noise, I apologize.
There's honor, there's integrity, there's loyalty. But unfortunately, none of it is true.
Hold on. The wrong one. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Where the hell did it go? All right, hold on. Let me see. Number 3. I think this is the right one. It takes a minute to play.
I never seen the Sammy the Bull that the world knows. To me, he was my father.
Why would I talk about what I do with a kid? I'm doing murders. Come on, sit down and say, wait, hey, you know what I killed today? Break an arm here, break a leg there.
Yeah, you were a tough guy.
They get to rationalize a lot of really bad behavior. They're doing this as part of their job.
To steal money through fear and intimidation.
Each and every person that chose that world knew what they were getting into.
Someone who closed their eyes to things.
For a lot of people, being wealthy and having whatever you want is worth whatever it is that you don't want to have.
You can pick and choose, man. Listen, if someone was in that life, right, you can pick and choose. Look at Sammy. What's he doing? He's up here doing a podcast, and he ratted on John Gotti. So you can pick and choose. Calandra is making a conscious effort to really change his life. Michael Francis is another one making a conscious effort to really change his life. It's not like Sammy. What kind of effort have you ever seen Sammy make to change his life? He got out of prison after he ratted on John Gotti, and he got his whole family jammed up with a drug operation. So there's a big difference. Trust me. And Jimmy wasn't made. He didn't break the oath. Don't make no difference. You can't pick and choose. If you accept one, you accept them all. That's not true, man. Not true. I'm not a street guy, man. I'm a content creator. I interview people. So now, if I interview people that cooperated, does that make me no good? Like, I really want to hear your point of view on this, because I have some people that tell me, oh, you're no good because you interviewed people who cooperated. Number one, I don't care. Number two, I'm not in that life anymore. Thank you so much for that, Ali. I appreciate that. Rats are scumbag people. Has to push side when it comes to business. Sammy, number one rap, but he's killing it because people don't care anymore. They really don't, man. Stevie Bullets, man. I want to give a shout out to Stevie Bullets. His father passed away, and my condolences go to him and his family. I spoke with Stevie earlier. He's doing pretty good. Yeah, I got rid of him. What's good, man? Donate money. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You can go to here. I'll let me see. You can go to, I believe, the description of this video. I can put the links in the description of this video if you want to donate. You can donate to the Cash App. My Cash App is Bill Staxx 2021. You can donate through YouTube, through super chats, super stickers, anything like that. I'm going to put the links in the description right now. So the links are in the description of this video. All you got to do is go to the description and you'll be able to donate. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that you even want to donate to me. I really do. There's no difference. Rat's a rat, and Americans accept rats. Look at Tekashi 6ix9ine. Yeah, he's a terrible one. I don't know how people like John A. Light look up to people like Tekashi 6ix9ine. He even said it on his show. I look up to him. He's a good kid and all this other shit. He was trying to get him on his show. He got one of 6ix9ine's boys on his show. He had Snow Billy, the guy that was involved with the whole 6ix9ine business with all that stuff. He does not care if you rat or don't rat. He doesn't care about anything. What's good, man? Yeah, Paulie's going to come on tomorrow night. Paul Tanzo will be on tomorrow night. He was going to be on tonight, but this Sammy thing was going on, and I wanted to get this one done. Shout out to Bobby. Shout out to Paul. Thank you for that, man. I really appreciate that. Would never be friends with a rat. Do business with a rat. Money's king, man. Money's green, bro. I guarantee you, most people would do business with rats for the money. They wouldn't care. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, Matt. And I'm going to be having Pat Stebbins on really soon. She's going to do an interview and tell me about her whole background. And you guys will be able to hear why she created Brian's Angels and what I do there and the whole backstory behind it and how I met her. It's going to be good stuff. So let's get on with the show.
Talk. I lived a double life. I live a family life and I'm a gangster.
Once you go in, it's all in or nothing.
We shook the Mafia. We shook the state of New York. We shook the whole world.
Yes, I am. I'll be there in May.
About 5:30 this evening, right at this location, 46th Street east of 3rd Avenue, 2 people were shot numerous times. The only thing we can ascertain at this time is that it was 3 males wearing trench coats. The tentative identification is that it's
Another thing, if you guys didn't know, Sammy the Bull is no longer allowed in New York City. He signed the plea agreement. I'm pretty sure that he signed that he would never go back to New York City. He is banned from New York. He can't go back. So, am I going to Natalie's funeral? No. Where is it? Do you know where his funeral is?
Then Tom Bellotti. Castellano he was until 2 hours ago the head of the largest organized crime family in the United States of America. He's gone now.
Here is a prevailing wisdom that says professional hitmen don't get caught.
That's simply not true.
I lowered the window and I looked at Tommy. He was laying in the street in a huge puddle of blood. I couldn't see Paul. I told him Tommy was gone. And we took off. This is what the mob does. This is what we do. This is how we live. This is the true side of the mafia. This isn't somebody talking about the mafia. I am part of it.
Did you say, what have I become? With that blood on my hands? What am I?
I'm a gangster. I mean, as far as being a hitman, I actually was good at it. I had the job done. I shot him in the head twice. And this is part of the life.
I knew my father was a gangster. I knew my father was involved in Paul Castellano's murder.
Murder was the only way everybody stayed in line. It was the ultimate weapon. Nobody was immune. You got out of line, you got whacked. Everybody knew the rules, but still, people got out of line, and people still kept getting whacked.
New York in the 70s and 80s was
Definitely.
like the Wild West. Bodies all over the place. It was insane.
The city was completely out of control. Anarchy prevailed.
The mob was going through a very violent period. It was a dangerous.
You didn't know that? He has not been
Sammy
back
the
in.
Bull.
He has not been back in New York since he ratted, man. He's not allowed back in New York City by the U.S. government.
Is a serial murderer. He's a psychopath and a sociopath who killed as many people as Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy combined.
He's not a serial killer. He's not Jeffrey Dahmer. He's not. That's not what he is. He was a gangster.
Sammy the Bull was a street thug who grew up in Bensonhurst. He gravitated towards the world of organized crime as a young boy.
Italian neighborhood?
Yeah.
And your father had come over from Italy.
I remember playing
Outside
stickball.
Right.
Who remembers doing that?
Old school dad?
Old school. Old thinking. Totally legitimate.
What
Good night,
would
Cherry
your father
Blossom.
have said if he had known that you were underboss of the Gambino family?
Well, I guess it would have broke his heart.
Yeah.
Just like it would break my heart if my son or my nephew or somebody went into the mob because I know their destiny.
In our neighborhoods, you were a fireman, a cop, or a gangster. I mean, that's how it went.
When we walked down the block, it's almost like that movie Goodfellas. There's all guys out there with suits or sport jackets and hanging out.
Hey, Paulie
shooting
Walnut.
dice in the street.
It was a very protected neighborhood. And I think a big part of that is the mob culture because they kind of protect their own. Everybody knew everybody's business, but yet looked the other way when they had to.
Nobody knows nothing. We got window shades on our eyes, cotton balls in our ears, as if on our neck.
So they were growing up in a neighborhood.
Paulie's
that's
coming on tomorrow night.
basically a campus for future gangsters.
7 o'clock.
My father could have been anything, but he chose the
What's up,
street life
Grambino?
because that's what he's seen. That was what was in his community. That's what was looked up to.
We had no other choice.
Make sure you guys go back and check out the other half of this. After this video is done, I'm going to play the rest tomorrow, and we're going to finish this up with part 2. But so I appreciate everyone who came out to watch this. You guys are all great.
You got tough or you felt the wayside. That was it.
Growing up in the streets, you know, there were guys, they were fighting all the time.
It's the neighborhood. It's how you grow up. It was just your lore of being, being bad.
And who were you? How did you introduce yourself, by the way? Was it Sammy the Bull?
That's Sammy the Bull. Sammy the Bull was a nickname that's made up by other people. It started when I was a kid, actually. A few kids robbed my bike. And I started fighting like crazy to get it back. And across the street, there was our local mafia hangout. They broke it up. And one of the guys said, man, what are you crying about? You won the fight. And he says, look at him. He's like a little bull, Sammy the Bull. And it's stuck all my life.
They would
No
give
problem,
you a nickname
man.
at an early age. And now you felt it was incumbent upon you to earn that nickname instead of realizing that is nonsense.
Did it for you guys.
The men at the cab stand were not like anybody else from the neighborhood. They wore silk suits in the morning. They flashed wads of $20 bills as round as softballs, and they sported diamond pinky rings the size of walnuts. The sight of all that wealth and power and girth was intoxicating.
The people that get recruited are typically young men. They like
Shout
the
out to
cars,
Larry
they
Madler.
like the girls, they like the money.
You know, I mean, I probably grew up seeing everybody in my life having at least, you know, 5,000-6,000 cash on them. That was like the thing back in the day, right?
What was their presence in the neighborhood?
Bensonhurst, Brooklyn was saturated with the mafia. Every club, every bar, every place you went.
Probably every family had a social club. The Genoveses had a social club. The Colombos had. Everybody
Shout
had
out
a
to
social
Anthony.
club. So my father, he started taking me to all these social clubs to introduce me to them, to tell them this is my son. You know, if you see him, look out for him and all that. And I was about 13.
The march of the wooden soldiers, the march of the future Gabons who want to be made men and will do anything. Oh, we'll break into cars, we'll boost products. And they started out by just being errand boys. Hey, give me a cup of coffee, kid. Hey, give me the Daily News. And then all of a sudden, you'd spot him with a 5 in Abraham Lincoln. Hey, you want to change it? Nah, kid, did a good job. But they'd start reasoning. It's all about money. It's all about money.
Back then, gangs were big. You know, all ethnicities had gangs, neighborhoods had gangs. Sammy was in a group called the Rappers.
I was doing long shopping, stealing cars, doing burglaries.
No problem.
Break an arm here, break a leg there.
He had all the attributes of being a gangster.
Did he have options not to join the mob? Absolutely. But once you go in, it's all in or nothing.
And when I did finally go into the mob, it was for money. It was for greed.
No
it was
problem.
for women. It was for fast cars. It was being part of a society, part of a brotherhood.
He believed in it so deeply, you know, with everything inside of him. He became loyal.
Being wealthy.
Not enough to keep his mouth shut. Sorry, I had to do that.
5,000-6,000 cash on them. That was like the thing back in.
Group called the Rappers.
I was doing long shopping, stealing cars, doing burglaries. Break an arm here, break a leg there.
He had all the attributes of being a gangster.
Did he have options not to join the mob? Absolutely. But once you go in, it's all in or nothing.
And when I did finally go into the mob, it was for money. It was for greed. It was for women. It was for fast cars. It was being part of a society, part of a brotherhood.
He believed in it so deeply, you know, with everything inside of him. He became loyal to Cosa Nostra, and that was his life, and that's who he was. That's what he became.
He worked his way up. He became a made member of the Gambino crime family.
1970. You're what, 24, 25 years old?
Yeah.
They tell you to kill someone. Did you think of saying no?
No, not at all.
And this is murder.
It's going to be murder. I mean, everybody in this life at one point or another does murders. This is fun.
Now remember when Sammy said, they said, the first hit you did. Do you have any remorse? Remember that? He said, nah. And then the other time you hear him say, oh, that one hurt me. So like he's flip-flopping. So watch what he says this time.
I'm
going to play another one for you guys. But then that's it. Save the next one for tomorrow. So
Gotti allegedly wanted to show his respects by coming here, but instead preferred to stay away because of all the undercover cops in the area who would like to talk to him about the murder of Paul Castellano. Before the killing of Paul Castellano in 1985, I mean, no one in New York City knew who John Gotti was.
John Gotti takes the throne when they killed Paul Castellano.
8 days later, on Christmas Eve, more than 200 wise guys, would-be wise guys, showed up to pay homage to John Gotti at the Ravenite Social Club. And that was the end of Paul Castellano.
Probably a lot of
John
money.
Gotti's reign as boss of the Gambino crime family.
John Gotti was the poster child for organized crime. He put his face out there. He drew people into a world that you only seen in movies.
It was if you called Central Casting and said, send me a mob boss. I want the modern version of Capone.
He was flashy and he was always well groomed and he like sported around.
Said on Vlad interview I just watched.
That we learned in The Godfather that
didn't have any
a
remorse,
mafia guy
right?
would never do.
Unreliable people not going to be carried away.
My father was probably the most charismatic, intelligent, handsome, tough guy that you'll ever come across in your life.
You see him on TV and he just has this swagger about him. He almost commanded respect.
He was over the top.
And he was taking full advantage of his celebrity.
He was dapper. He looked the part. I mean, if you wanted to hold the mob up and say, hey, this is what we look like, it holds up John Gotti.
Put quite a bit of people in prison.
Was that he fell in love with himself.
Shout out to Richard. Good night, Richard. Have a good one.
And he lost touch with what he was. That he's a gangster, not an actor.
At one point, I know back in New York City, John Gotti was like posing for pictures with tourists.
He said, "This is my public. My public." From my teaching and my understanding of Cosa Nostra, it's a secret society. We have no public.
What about his life, the way he lived?
They used to leave his house about 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
Morning, Mr. Gotti.
He had somebody picking out his shirt, his tie, his shoes. He used to have a barber come every single day and give him a haircut.
You guys in Juliana should be in church.
Cut the hairs of his nose. It was a performance for the media or people who were going to see him.
Yeah, they supposedly sent a hit team to Arizona to go kill him. He had the ecstasy ring going, and he ended up getting picked up by the feds before that could all take place. But yeah, they did want to kill him. I believe part of the mob still does. I believe his contract on his head will never be gone until he is dead. That's the way it goes in that life. Once you tell, they don't erase the contract. I believe it goes over generations and generations, and they just wait for their opportunity. But I have no clue how he is how he was able to operate so long in prison and everywhere else the way he did and not get killed. It amazes me.
So John Gotti was a guy when he was done with his business, he'd go out
Go to the
gallivanting
streets.
all night long at the early hours of every night during the week. Sammy Gravano's going back home to his family. The personalities were a little bit different. John's first care was the Gambino family, not the John Gotti personal family. Sammy kind of split it. He was very, very loyal to the Gambino family, but his personal family was equally important to him.
This is me and my wife, and here's a picture of me, my wife, and my son on our farm. This farm was gorgeous. This was something that
How many bodies are buried
got
up
away
there?
from the mob and went to this farm and chilled out with my family. It was like really living two lives. About a year after we were married, we had my daughter, Karen. A couple of years after that, we had my son, Gerard. I knew my father was respected and a lot of people looked up to him, but they never came home and spoke about what he used to do on the streets.
Growing up, all my memories were great. I had a great life. You know, I grew up very family oriented. There was parties. There were a lot of family around me.
Growing up, I feel like he was home most of the times, 5, 6 o'clock for dinner. We'd all sit down, dinner would be ready. My mother was there, my sister was there. It was really just a normal life for me.
I never seen the Sammy the Bull that the world knows. I never seen the dangerous side or, you know, him being so powerful. To me, he was my father.
I think I'm two people sometimes. I live a family life, and I'm a gangster.
Boom, right there. Hear what I'm saying? Did you hear what he just said? Boom, and I'm a gangster. He still thinks he's a gangster. His mind has not changed. This dude is stuck in his ways. He will never change. Never.
I live a family life, and I'm a gangster.
I know my mother's experience. She wanted the white picket fence and, you know, the house and the backyard with the dogs running around, but she loved her husband. And she loved him for the way he loved us, her kids.
Crazy. I don't understand.
Took care of the family. Okay, they took care of everything and anything to do with the home. Most men were married, had a wife, family.
That's Sammy's Gumbada.
I was a girlfriend.
That's his Gumara.
Where families are involved, you have to become a lawyer. You have to.
They were off doing all this illegal stuff, and the wife just thought, you know, he was off doing his thing.
I think I'd be a liar if I said she didn't know. She just knew not to ask questions because his life was so, you know, separate outside. He never dumped this lifestyle.
Hilarious.
So she was able to look away.
How much more can I humiliate my wife, right? How much more can I humiliate my wife on public television by having my girlfriend on there? Like, for real, they're still married. Like, they still live together and everything. This dude has his girlfriend on there. I don't understand.
I think.
Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Oh, look at this beautiful ring I got. Oh, I'm getting a fur coat. And for a lot of people, you know, being wealthy and having whatever you want is worth whatever it is that you don't want to know.
I didn't even realize my father was in the Mafia until probably 1990. As far as I was concerned, my father was in the construction business.
Why would I talk about what I do with a kid? I'm doing murders. You know what I do? Come home, sit down at the table. Hey, you know what I killed today? Joe Paul.
Your uncle.
You won't see him no more. I mean, I can't do that, right?
As my father rose in the mob, you know, he wanted to try out, I guess, bigger and better things. And he wanted to move to Toad Hill. He found a beautiful home.
He's still the underboss.
I hated living there. We grew up in Bull's Head in Staten Island.
Toad Hill is very different than Bull's Head. And one of the kids told my brother that we weren't allowed to come in the house because of who my father was.
They didn't want my kids playing with their kids because I was a gangster. They walked right down the block to the house, and I rang the bell, and I said, "Is your husband home?"
Yeah, he brings Kumar on the show. It's hilarious.
I'm the guy that your kids are not allowed to play with. A guy came to the door. I never said that. I never did that. Bro, you a good dad to your kids? Yeah. What if they didn't have a dad? You think this is going to end? Good for you? It was, I think, petrified. And it woke me up because I said, what the are you doing? They're legitimate people. This guy's in his pants right now. And I left.
My father halted construction on the house. He sold it and we moved right back to Bull's Head. He wanted us to be around people that we're used to, that we're,
He'll be on tomorrow night, man.
We're like them.
He'll be on tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Don't be late for that. Paul Tanzo will be in the building tomorrow night, 7 o'clock.
You know, even though I had a lot of friends there, we were still different in their eyes. My father was a gangster.
There's a lot of collateral damage. You have to live it and see it. And maybe take the step to talk about it. There's a message. There's a message.
One of the guys you killed had been your oldest friend, and you felt nothing then either?
Oh, absolutely. Felt something. Called me up. But he betrayed us, so he was caught at it. And he was
No.
gone.
Paul wasn't on earlier. He's going to be on tomorrow. Paul Tanzo was a made man. He got made with Bobby Luisi in Boston. And Bobby got made with Joey Merlino down there in Philly. If you guys didn't know, go check out the interview I did with Bobby. Go check out the interview I did with Paul. There's a couple different ones. I went up to Boston and seen Bobby and Paul. We had a great time. Go check out those interviews. But I have a lot of great stuff to come in the future. I'm going to play the rest of those for you tomorrow. I appreciate everyone that came out to watch this. And don't forget, Paul will be on tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And I have Dan Romano coming on the show on Monday, 7 o'clock, I believe it is. From the Dan Romano Show, Long Island Television, or Strong Island Television. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. 7 o'clock, he'll be here. Basically. Thank you, man. If you guys didn't know, I will be in Las Vegas starting in May. I'm going to be doing the Chattin with Staxx show from Las Vegas. So things are going to get good. And I appreciate all of you for rocking out with me. I couldn't do it without you. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And a lot of stuff to come. I appreciate all of you guys. So, yeah, I'm moving there. It's a big opportunity. And I'm taking full advantage of it. I'm going to work for a production company, man. It's going to be really good stuff. And I'm going to have a slew of new guests on. People from the mob genre. People from the acting world. Maybe you'll see me on a couple screens. Who knows? But thank you. Yeah, I've been striving for certain goals, and I've been reaching them goals. And I'm so thankful for the people I have in my life and the friends I have around me. I want to give a shout out to Cousin Dom. I had a great interview with him. Go check that one out. Yeah, it really is great news, man. There's a female. It's a job, man. I got offered a job. Thank you, Stormy. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate you guys. But definitely, if you guys want to rock out tomorrow and see the rest of this, say 3 o'clock. I'll be here at 3 o'clock with the rest of this. And Paul Tanzo will be in the building at 7 o'clock. Don't miss it. And hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Till next time.